Okay, welcome to the live stream, ladies and gents. In today's video, we are going to talk about the Doge stimulus or Doge dividend, as it's being called. Also, a lot more to cover. So, if you want to know about this $5,128.21 potential rebate that you may get, stick around. We're also going to cover the savings so far, 55 billion that has been that has come through so far. But we'll start with the Doge check. Then we'll go on to the IRS. So Doge has got its sights set now on the IRS. And already you've got a lot of Democrat politicians that are going crazy. They're basically pulling in every single judge possible to block Doge from being able to audit the IRS. We'll get on to some of the things that I just couldn't believe have been have been said here, that what they've got to do if they do audit it, and that's deleting all the information. We've got a 36% explosion of unemployment in Washington, D.C. More houses than ever have hit the market. We'll get into all of this today. So let's get started then. So this is how a lot of this has all come about then. Doge, as you know, is targeting $2 trillion in total savings across the government. And we also have a calculator now. We'll look at that in a second. So how has this been calculated? Well, what they're looking at is the total savings so far, and this varies, but let's just use the example that they've given, which is $400 billion. And what they want to do is give a 20% rebate of the savings potentially back to taxpayers. Now, this is a little bit different to what a lot of people were expecting. So many people have been saying, oh, everyone's going to get this like the COVID stimulus check, right? This is what everyone was talking about. Well, no, because the stimulus check was different. And one was inflationary, which was the stimulus checks. This one, everyone is saying, a lot of economists, oh, it shouldn't be done because it's going to be inflationary and inflation will explode. I actually don't think that is the case, and here's why, and we'll get back to check in a second. The COVID stimulus checks were inflationary, and I talked about them even before they happened would be inflationary because you had this amount of money chasing this amount of goods and services. So what actually happened was you expanded the monetary pool and the goods and services stayed the same size. So what happened was people started paying more for the goods and services. The Doge aspect is different. And the reason why it's different is because this is money that already exists. It's already, it's not all in circulation because a lot of it's at government level, but it already exists. So therefore, if that money is paid out, it wouldn't be as inflationary. There will still be some inflation around it because it will be released to the people, but it won't be as if it was created money. So that's the first thing I've got to distinguish around that. And actually, this could really spur a lot more growth. I think you'd see a lot of it being saved by households. I think a lot of people might use it to start a side hustle or something like that. So it could be a positive thing. So let's see some of the calculations then. I just ran some rough calculations for you. So if the 2 trillion in savings, so if 20%, 400 billion were allocated for stimulus checks, as they're calling them, this would be divided by 78 million tax-paying households, not everybody, because remember, this is a rebate on tax money. That would be approximately $5,128.21. So that is how it's being calculated, if you're wondering how they got that figure. Now, if you remember what actually happened under the CARES Act, so that was in 2020. The first check was $1,200 per adult, $500 per child. That was about 300 billion. The second one was the Relief Act, so this came after the CARES Act, also in 2020. That was $600 per adult and $600 per child. That was $165 billion. And then the third one was the 2021 American Rescue Plan. That was $1,400 per adult and child, and that cost around $400 billion. So it is possible, we're not sure if this is going to happen yet, but it is possible that this could happen. So, what has Elon Musk said? He's actually said that he's speaking to President Donald Trump about the proposal at the moment, and he said it's very feasible because of the amount of money that they have saved. In fact, one thing that's quite surprising is that they said that there's $500 billion alone that they believe is fraudulent. It's been sent out from, it's either Treasury or the IRS. I'll confirm that shortly. It's been sent out and they can't trace it. It's gone into untraceable accounts. So already they know there's massive fraud. So that alone, just canceling all of those contracts will would pay for this quite easily. So he said he's checking with the president at the moment. They should be having a conversation today or tomorrow. He said he wants DOGE to help real Americans, millions of Americans, and he wants to get these checks out. But again, we don't know if it's going to happen yet. I have to just emphasize that. The next thing then, okay, let me show you the clock. Now this clock's varying depending on where you look at, but this is the savings so far. It's they've got it down as $113 billion as to savings, but they do vary in terms of amounts at the moment. So Musk has said it's about 55 billion confirmed so far, with a lot more to come. We have, and I'll just show you because someone said to me before, well, what does that look like, Neil? So I gave a context for you here. If you were to stack $100 bills all the way up, that is how much money. There we go. There's a better one I did for you here. That is how much money has been saved so far from the federal government. A lot of this is fraud, as we talked about, and it was being used for some very, very nefarious reasons. But a lot of it as well is employment. Now, let me come on to that point in a second, because a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm surprised, Neil, that you support this and this wastage and that's being cut. Sorry, not the wastage, but people being made unemployed. It's not a case of supporting people being unemployed. It's a case of what they're doing is they're making a lot of things now a lot more efficient. And if you see some of the posts, I've grabbed one for you. Let me see if I can find that post, which I think you'll find. Here it is. I've got it here for you. Interesting. So this is just some of the examples of ones that I definitely support, right? So this person didn't have any meetings today, so I've been wearing my jammies all day, but now I have a meeting in 30 minutes, so putting on a hoodie. Eventually that WFH life gonna get ya, right? That's what she said. Next, I was terminated from Dream Job with the Charles Bureau yesterday due to the federal restructuring order, DOGE. I am unemployed for the first time since I was 15 years old. And then you can read the next line there, right? But this is what's actually happening at the moment. We'll come on to the meltdown as well that's going on. This is what's actually happening at the moment, is that there's a lot of wastage being cut and a lot of jobs. Now, here's why I think that's positive, right? A lot of these people have real world skills that, and this is human nature, is habitual. If you don't have to work and you can just sit at home and you can collect a paycheck, why on earth would you rush out and do all this stuff with a government job? Some people are not doing it. So when people now are going back to work, like that lady example there, she will then contribute a lot more to the economy, and it will result in the economy in the country growing a lot stronger. So this is one of the things that we are going to see. Okay, so IRS is blocking, obviously, but DOGE is being sued by union groups over access to tax agency systems. They are setting their sights on the taxpayer data, and a coalition of union groups and advocates is suing them to block Elon Musk from entering the IRS systems. So this lawsuit that was filed just 2 days ago on Monday, of course it was filed in DC. The Center for Taxpayers' Rights, Main Street Alliance, the National Federation of Federal Employees, and the Communication Workers, this is a mouthful, they have blocked them from being able to access IRS systems. They said that it's harmful to national interests, and they said that people's private tax returns should not be accessed. Well, the IRS is accessing it anyway, so One point there. The plaintiffs are asking the court to cut off DOGE's access to all IRS systems and order them instead to delete, word for word here, delete any information they require from those systems or devices after January 19th. So that's today, as well as remove any software the team has installed. And they want any information that is found to be deleted immediately. A little bit suspicious, you may say there. Yes, I think so as well. I'll be posting more about this on X as we go along, so hopefully you're there. If you're not subscribed to the channel, by the way, oh wow, it's going up a lot. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, if you want to see more about what they are doing, you can see where they're saving all of this money and where the investigations are going on. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's so much I can't even keep up. But these are the top agencies from USAID downwards where they found the most amount of savings, and they were just absolutely crazy. I won't go through the website because it's really hard on the eyes to read a lot of this, but you can see all the contracts, or you can actually go through the FPDS website if you want to see any of these contracts that they are signing quite heavily at the moment, or cancelling. They're cancelling these contracts. Now, another post that I wanted to show you was, you may have seen this overnight, they have found huge amounts of fraud, and I'll show you how they've done this fraud. So what they've got is, these are all the people that are collecting, hold on, let me just get the tweet, Social Security, okay? So you can understand some people in this sort of age bracket, but once you get to 100 plus, they have calculated it's around $500 billion, and they can't find where a lot of this has been going. A lot of it has been going overseas, so they can't actually trace a lot of this money. But one thing they've done is cancelled it immediately. So again, that is another thing now that will be cancelled. So it's pulling even more of this funding that we know has been, a lot of it has been weaponized. So a lot of this weaponized funding now is going to be pulled. So what you're going to see as more and more of this funding is cancelled is you're going to see more of certain people, certain politicians panicking. Why? Because their funding is getting pulled. All of these dodgy agencies and NGOs and stuff like that are being cancelled at a rapid rate. So they are going to start to sort of panic, and you're going to see even more craziness happening. They had 20.7 million Americans over the age of 100 collecting Social Security. They don't know where these payments have been going to. It says Democrats have sued to prevent the organization from accessing any more data, and they've ordered that this data be deleted. On Monday, the federal judge handling the request for a restraining order expressed skepticism over the Democrats' challenge, noting that their evidence was largely based on media speculation about potential harms springing from DOGE activities. The court said, and I quote, "We cannot act based on media reports. We cannot do that." So why do you think they said that? And it's because the media is the media who publish these reports were the same ones that were getting those payments from USAID. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's so insane. But luckily the judge saw through that. Now I wanted to play this little clip here as well that I thought was quite funny that I saw.
Enough. There's this concept in private equity, when you get a bankrupt company and you go in there, you cut 20% more than your initial read. And then you find, like a pool of mercury, the organization gels back together again. Always cut deeper, harder when there's fat and waste. The FAA, it's not the people. The code is cobalt. It's from the 60s. It needs CapEx put into it for the technology to be upgraded to make it safer. Fat like a chicken. All of these agencies are like big fat chickens dripping over barbecues of fat. This is the best barbecue I've ever seen, but I don't think it's happening fast enough. They're not cutting enough. Keep slashing, keep hacking while you have a 24-month mandate before the midterms. Cut, 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 cut. More cutting. Believe me, it's going to work out just great. Everybody should be happy about this.
Even people with the nuclear codes, cut them too?
Cut everything.
But do you know what? I didn't catch that the first time. cut the people with the nuclear codes too. What? Who does she think has got these? Who does she think has got these nuclear codes? Does she think these employees have got nuclear codes? Oh gosh, it just shows you sometimes the intellect of some of the people trying to gaslighting some of this stuff. All right. So here's a big article that we've just had out. Unemployment absolutely exploded in Washington, D.C. over the last week. And this is pretty obvious why it's happened. And it says, and I quote, since President Donald Trump has taken office, nearly 4,000 high-paying workers in the city have filed for unemployment insurance. So this is just recently. It says, but all in total, just shy of 7,000 claims for unemployment. Okay, imagine you're earning a huge salary in DC, and you're now filing for unemployment. I mean, these people need to take some of my courses, right? You got to have your buffer. You've got to have your emergency fund. You've got to. I don't know. I don't know. Some of these people, $200,000, $250,000 salaries, and they're filing for unemployment immediately after getting let go. Even though some of them have got 9 months, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So it says 7,000 claims have been filed in the last 6 weeks. It's up 55%, 36% unemployment increase. This is staggering. It says Washington, D.C. now has the highest unemployment rate in the country, in the USA. One other clip I wanted to show you here.
I can give absolute 100% insurance. I give you complete and total assurance on that point. We are talking about performing a basic anti-fraud review to ensure that people are not engaging in large-scale theft of federal taxpayer benefits. I mean, for example, we pay billions of dollars a year in child tax credit payments to illegal aliens. Billions with a B. So these are systematic, programmatic reforms that we're talking about here. And as far as protecting the secrecy of tax records, the IRS has been weaponized at the career level against the American people for years now. This has been one of the most invasive arms of the federal government, engaging in capricious and politically based audits, leaking taxpayer information for political reasons. We are restoring the neutrality. We are restoring ethics. We are restoring security controls at IRS. In fact, one of the big projects that DOGE is going to be working on is upgrading IT systems and software so that our taxpayer information cannot be stolen by criminals.
Yeah. I mean, it all makes sense. I know sometimes people comment on my videos and they say, "Oh, Neil, you they try and say, "Oh, these are conspiracy theories and there's no evidence of fraud and all this." I'm glad there's a lot of people that are subscribed here. Hold on, let's get the subscribe button on. That are very logical and can understand how this is so beneficial. Why on earth would you try and block a audit of any of these systems? Even Fort Knox, they're trying to block an audit now of Fort Knox. Why would you try and block these things? Because there's fraud going on. And once you do that, there's going to be so much more money for people to start businesses, to pay down debts, to just have a much greater standard of living. Truly. A couple more things then as we get to the end here. This was the map. You may have seen it on social already, of all the homes that have been hitting the market now in DC. It is staggering. Couple of things with Trump. Then we talked about the Ukraine-Russia thing going on. Last week, Trump said he would like to pursue a summit with Chinese President Xi and Vladimir Putin. They want to. This is a very interesting concept here. He wants them to agree to slash each country's military budget in half so that the money can then go back to growing the prosperity of the country. That is a very, very novel idea there. And he's not had a lot of good things to say about Zelensky this week as well. You'll probably see. We'll probably cover that in another video. But I am in Las Vegas now. I know some of you have already figured that out. I'm in the USA. I was allowed back into the country. I'm allowed in. So I've got a video coming out for you on Friday, a walk around. I think you're going to find it very interesting. All right, take care. God bless you guys, and I'll see you next time.